Tonight, it's the beginning of a long process to classify a proposed $25 million lawsuit filed by former students of a private Christian school. Also, 64 tents and counting. The homelessness encampment outside Regina City Hall continues to grow with no solutions in sight. Plus, we introduce you to two Saskatchewan sisters riding high and blazing trails in rodeo and in the classroom.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Friday, July 7th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for watching. In Saskatoon, arguments have begun in a proposed $25 million class action lawsuit. It was filed by former students of a private Christian school. Jason Warwick reports.
Yeah, it's great to finally be in court now. It's almost been a year since this application was filed, and it's just good that the ball's rolling now.
Friday morning, former students and supporters gathered at the courthouse for the start of arguments. It's the beginning of a long process to help a judge determine whether to classify their lawsuit as a class action.
November is the first.
Last year, following a series of CBC News stories, former students filed the proposed $25 million lawsuit. They say officials from Legacy Christian Academy and adjacent Mile 2 Church physically, emotionally, and sexually abused them. They say that abuse included severe beatings with large wooden paddles, exorcisms, and solitary confinement.
A lot of students have shared their stories. I think what they've had to say is a lot of egregious things went on, and there's really no denying that at this point. So it's great that this day has finally come.
Inside the courtroom, more than a dozen lawyers argued over technical details. They disagree about when the statements of defense need to be filed. CBC News asked several defendants' lawyers for an interview, but they declined. But the student's lawyer says he's also relieved this day has finally come.
Well, we're here to right a wrong. We're here to right an absolutely terrible wrong that's occurred in this province over decades, where everyone's turned a blind eye to it, including the government. We want to, draw attention to it, which I think has been done. Changes slowly might and have been made to some degree. But people have done these things. People that have done these things have to be accountable for what they did.
The judge has reserved his decision, and the next court date is unknown. And even though they disagree on almost everything, they do agree on one point. With dozens of student plaintiffs and just as many defendants, with allegations covering a 40-year period, this is anything but a simple matter. Jason Warwick, CBC News, Saskatoon.
A Regina man who was found guilty of manslaughter after a drive-by shooting in 2020 was sentenced today. 29-year-old Devin Sear was sentenced to 14 years in prison. The Crown had asked for life in prison. Sear shot and killed 24-year-old Isaiah Allery in January of 2020. He was initially charged with first-degree murder. A jury found him guilty of manslaughter. With credit for time served in remand, Sear has 9 years left on his sentence. After the judge's decision, the Allery's loved ones were emotional.
This is not something any family ever wants to go through, and the Allery family is no exception. He has a young child. His partner at the time, the mother of his child, is now raising that child alone. And they've been here, they've been present, they've been participating in the process as best they can. And I could see the reaction from the decision, whether that's an emotional dump from all this being at closure now or disappointment with the decision, but they were obviously very upset.
Sear has fetal alcohol syndrome and a violent criminal record. He was left disfigured after he was shot in the face in 2015. The defense read a statement outside the courthouse and said it hopes all involved can move on and focus on the healing process. Homelessness has been an ongoing issue in the Queen City, but a very public, very visible sign of how bad the issue has become is growing outside Regina City Hall. Alexander Kwan explains.
It's been less than a month, and this encampment outside of Regina City Hall continues to grow. A few weeks ago, there was just a tent and a gazebo set up to provide food and water to those who needed it. Now, there are dozens of tents serving as a home for people of all ages. Volunteers say the rapid growth is a sign of just how bad the issue of homelessness has become in Regina.
It kind of reflects the amount of homeless people there are in Regina. So instead of having kind of like different pockets, there already existed like encampments and stuff, whether they were taken down or not, kind of throughout the city. So I think just people, I think the media's helped too. Like the word's gotten out that there's a place in downtown Regina. There's people kind of congregating. There's food supplied and some other things.
Despite Mayor Sandra Masters saying encampments are not a solution to homelessness, there's no sign these tents are coming down. Every day, the city's fire department performs safety checks and counts the tents. The number goes up and down, but at last count, the tally is 64. Because of the stigma around homelessness, many of the people who live here say they prefer to not be on camera. But what many of the people who call this place home also say is that they prefer to live here because of the necessities they receive, things like food and water. I'm also told that it's safer here because it's a central, open location, and they're also surrounded by people and not isolated. This encampment may not be pretty, but those who live here say it is their reality. Volunteers ask people to keep one thing in mind when they see the tents.
These are humans, and if you humanize them in your mind by just engaging with them and talking to them, you understand it's not a financial issue or an economic issue or a healthcare. It's a personal, it's a human issue, and it needs people to treat them like people in order to kind of overcome it.
The city says it's in contact with the organizers and has agreed to help with collecting garbage. It's still not clear when or if the city will take action to remove the people living here. So for now, it remains a physical representation and a reminder of the homelessness crisis right here at the front door of city decision makers. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
The unemployment rate in this country rose to 5.4% in June, the highest rate in more than a year. That's according to a Stats Canada report out today. The government agency says 60,000 jobs were added in June thanks to gains in full-time work. But the unemployment rate climbed because more people are searching for work and the population is growing. Most of the new jobs are in wholesale and retail trade, manufacturing, healthcare, social assistance, transportation, and warehousing. More activity in the labour market is good news for the Bank of Canada, which has introduced rate hikes to cool the economy in the face of inflation. The central bank is going to make an interest rate decision next week. The Canada Revenue Agency is warning Canadians about texts and emails about the grocery rebate being sent out by scammers. The benefit is being distributed this week by Ottawa. CRA says it will never ask for banking or personal information through email or text. Saskatchewan is reporting a record number of organ and tissue donations, and while that number is in the dozens, not the hundreds, many are celebrating the increase. Aishwarya Duda has more on what's behind it.
Saskatoon transplant surgeon Dr. Mike Moser says people in this province used to be uncomfortable talking about organ donation, but that's changing.
People are talking about it. We're getting lots and lots of support by the health authorities, and this has resulted in a lot of positive changes.
Saskatchewan is reporting an all-time high of 30 deceased donors over the last year. There were also 46 kidney transplants in that period, the second highest number in a year. One of those was to Debbie Onishenko.
To look at me now and see what I was like before, Brent is my hero. He saved my life. And now I have a life again. And there's so many people out there who really need it.
Her donor, Brent Kruger, is excited more people are stepping up.
I don't feel any different than I did before the surgery. If it wasn't for the scar that I have from the incision, I'd never know or not feel that I donated a kidney.
Kidney transplant survivor Monica Goulet says more public education is still needed.
I think there's a number of myths that exist out in the community. I think some people are worried that if they donate a kidney, that they're going to reduce their life expectancy.
Dr. Moser says there are several reasons for the increase in donations. He credits the new online registry launched in 2020 and the creation of a separate organ donation team in Saskatchewan that handles transplants and supports families. He also points to the Logan Boulet effect. The young hockey player died in the Humboldt bus crash and donated his organs, inspiring others to do the same. Still, about 60 people are waiting for kidneys in Saskatchewan.
Even in the year 2023, that probably about 25% of those people will not survive long enough to get their transplant. So they're going to die before they get their transplant in time.
The transplant recipients we interviewed want other people to be more active in donating blood, an organ, or putting their name down for when they die. You can put a sticker on your health card, register online, and talk to your family. Aishwarya Duda, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Certainly the time to do it, a deep kick. Oh, maybe this one will bounce all the way into the end zone. Sims goes back, and he's going to concede. My goodness, what just happened?
What just happened indeed. It was a rouge in the last moments of the game last night that gave the Riders a 12-11 win over the Elks. Frankly, up until the last 2 minutes, the game was not a good one. The score was stuck at 11-3 for the Elks for most of the game. An exciting finish for the fans that stuck it out until the end. The Riders now at 3-1 host Calgary next weekend on Saturday the 15th. We'll be back after the break.
This weather update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz Regina, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
Welcome back. Our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now, and it appears that our brief break with cooler weather has come to an end.
Yes, we are welcoming a hot weekend in a lot of the province, especially through south and central. But today, to kick things off, nice comfortable temperatures and pretty uniform temperatures through the province as well. Low 20s for a lot of us, still in kind of to the upper teens in northern Saskatchewan, and a bit of a temperature divide even in south and central Saskatchewan today. Eastern side of the province still right around 20 degrees, even below that right now in Wynyard. But the heat is in southwestern and portions of west central Saskatchewan, still into the mid-20s. We were in the upper 20s this afternoon. And with that heat, a little bit of some daytime afternoon thunderstorms, all non-severe at this point. And in fact, there was a severe thunderstorm watch that was in effect for portions of Alberta. That's now come to an end. And these cells quickly moving off to the southeast should be dying down as we head through the night. Now, the warmth is going to partly come from our jet stream. Still not a lot happening here. This is kind of a traffic jam thanks to this blocked in area of high pressure here. So we are going to see a little bit of this ridge move eastward, bringing some of that warmer air to us. But other than that, still a very stagnant pattern. Now, a traffic jam in our upper atmosphere, but lots of traffic freely moving in the surface level of the atmosphere. We have high pressure, which has kept us clear through the afternoon today. And as that moves out, we should stay fairly sunny through south and central tomorrow, albeit a few thunderstorms, maybe a few that could become severe in the south tomorrow afternoon are possible, especially in southeastern Saskatchewan. And this cold front could bring a few severe storms in eastern sections of the Churchill region. But that front also associated with a low pressure system that's going to bring through rain and thunderstorms to the north both tonight and tomorrow. In its wake, cooler temperatures, upper teens, only around 20 degrees for the north heading through the weekend. But for south and central, we'll be near 30 degrees, except after the cold front passes by, portions of east central Saskatchewan will be closer to probably the 20-degree mark, especially on Sunday. And then high pressure moving in after that, going to cool us down a bit to closer to seasonal conditions on Monday. But it is going to clear us out. But before then, we'll look for a bit of rain and some thunderstorms through the north, a good 5 to 10 millimeters with thunderstorms. The actual system itself likely going to be bringing lower amounts than that, but some locally higher amounts with those storms moving through. And with a little bit of traffic happening in that lower level of the atmosphere, we are looking for some winds to pick up, especially in the north tomorrow, a little bit gusty. And then all of us, especially heading into Sunday, could see some gusts close to 50, especially in the Churchill region, and that will pull down a little bit more forest fire smoke from northern Alberta. We'll have to watch for advisories here, especially on Sunday. Kind of along the tree line here is where we're expecting the heaviest pockets of that smoke to be heading into the beginning of next week. And for Regina, we may get a little bit hazy from that on Monday, but you can see how temperatures really pick up with those kind of breezy conditions through the weekend, and then things dropping off a little bit, but then rebounding heading through the week. We're really looking for seasonal conditions to make that return next week. But Saskatoon, you'll see the warmth again this weekend as well, with some nice overnight lows. No traffic happening next week, Sam. How many times have I said that now?
I'm just waiting for you to be beep, 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 beep. Get out.
That's
get out.
Right. You bet.
Speaking of get out.
Hey, get out of there! Get out!
Speaking of get out, that's CBC Vancouver reporter Sarah Galashan yelling at two curious bear cubs on her trampoline in her backyard. Sarah had to be firm and tell them to leave, and the pair meekly obeyed and climbed off before ambling away. We'll be back after the break. Two sisters who grew up on a farm near North Battleford are riding high and blazing trails in rodeo and in the classroom. Taylor and Mackenzie O'Leary are both competing at rodeos internationally while also supporting each other's career aspirations. Jenaline Antony profiles the sisters in this video for the CBC Creator Network.
The competition between twin sisters Taylor and Mackenzie Leary drives them to compete in rodeo arenas across North America and in the classroom. Their struggle against the odds has taught them to learn together and succeed. The sisters didn't grow up in rodeo. A neighbor gave them a horse to get started, a horse they shared. They trained it themselves and taught each other how to ride, rope, and race.
We didn't have a lot of the money to kind of get those $70,000 horses, so we kind of worked with what we had, which wasn't a lot. They ended up turning into really great and amazing horses that have gotten us to the States and everywhere else and given us so many opportunities.
The sisters say the competition between them is why they are winning at rodeo and excelling in the classroom, where they are both pursuing degrees in healthcare, Mackenzie in dentistry and Taylor in nursing.
It was really hard having to separate, and especially going to different schools. We really wanted to do nursing and I wanted to do this. So we knew that we couldn't do it together at the same school. I don't know, it's weird to say, but I felt like it was a part of me that was leaving or something, or moving on. I think it's brought us closer together, I would say, and made us realize how much the other one, we rely on the other one, and how much we like being around the other person. Challenging thing to balance was when I was at rodeos, when would I do my school, when would I study and stuff like that. I found that really challenging, but you just gotta kind of work it in somehow. If it's on the ride there, if it's in the hotel room, you just gotta kind of make it work. Definitely learn what your strengths are and stuff like that when you're on the road.
The twins travel across North America for the rodeo season and compete with the University of Saskatchewan rodeo team, with this spring rodeo season starting in their hometown of North Battleford, Saskatchewan. They compete with 7 horses they trained at home on their grandparents' farm.
This was a thing that was a very, we wanted it to be a very big part of our lives, so we wanted to work hard toward it, and it was something that if we were going to do it, we were going to put all of our hard work into it. It's definitely hard having to train ourselves and then our horses on top of that. We do go through the struggles with horses getting injured, accidents happen with them all the time. They do get injured, and that's a really big setback for you. It's really I'm really proud to say that I kind of trained him and started him on my own. Whenever we do win something together, it's a bit like we kind of did that together. I didn't buy him from someone trained. They put all in the work, and I just kind of got on the road, and we've kind of built up to our wins. You feel very proud of yourself because you did all the work. It was all you and your horse that did it all. You can only give credit to you and yourself, which is a really good feeling to have.
To travel internationally as athletes, the women learn to work with what they have. They say their success can be attributed to hard work, a lot of community support, and their relationship with sisters. Winds ride late into the night as part of slack rodeos. The steep competition and the luck of the draw for animals they will work with will influence the results of the rodeo weekend.
It was a lot of males involved in that. We kind of would always, you gotta learn to take what they tell you, even if it's really harsh, and put it to good use. Some of it can be really blunt and honest, and it could be really negative, but it's like going towards helping you. So you just gotta learn how to take apart that information that they're giving you and put it towards helping you be better.
And Ethan's back with one last look at your weather.
Giddy up, get on out the door, and it's going to be a good morning in Regina. 17 degrees, mostly sunny skies, light winds heading into the afternoon. Again, there's a chance that we could see an afternoon thunderstorm in Regina and southern Saskatchewan. Most severe risk will be in the southeast corner, but again, looking for mainly sunny skies. And in Saskatoon, again, pretty much the same thing in the morning. Getting toward the afternoon, less of a chance of storms for you, but we're looking to get close to 30 degrees by the afternoon. And keep an eye on the skies tonight. A bit of a solar storm occurred earlier this week, and that has raised the KP index for the aurora. It's not really all that strong, but the best time to see it, if it's out there, is between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. Of course, you got that full moon to contend with as well, Sam, but go on out and take a look. Yeehaw.
You know how we'll know if it was good?
How?
Social media will tell us.
That, exactly, yes. Send your photos.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Before we go, today marks the official kickoff to the Calgary Stampede, starting with the annual parade. Dave Gilson reports.
Kicking off what's billed as the greatest outdoor show on earth, this year's parade included 24 floats, 12 bands, 9 mounted color parties, and nearly 800 horses. One of those horses carrying this year's parade marshal, Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen.
The energy here is amazing. The people are amazing. I just know it's going to be extraordinary to walk down the road in front of them all and just connect with my fellow Canadians and the visitors that are here for the Stampede.
The Calgary Stampede Parade Committee estimates more than 300,000 people lined the parade route. The crowd included locals, international visitors, parade veterans and first-timers, and even some past parade participants.
I've been to the parade a couple times before, but I also marched in the parade when I was 10. So this is it's a big moment for me. I'm excited to see the bands play.
It also included parents sharing the experience with their kids.
It's awesome. It's so cool to see all the floats and see all the people out today.
I like the community, all the people getting together.
The parade is the official kickoff to the 10-day event. Rodeo, chuckwagon, and grandstand shows all getting underway on Stampede's first Friday. Dave Gilson, CBC News, Calgary.
And that's it for us this week. For news anytime, you can always head to our website or subscribe to CBC Saskatchewan's YouTube channel. Ethan and I will be back with more local news and weather tonight at 11. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.